Welcome to Pemberley Farm. I know it's been a while since we've made a video in the kitchen, but we've had a lot of requests for our cinnamon rolls. And what we thought we would do is make the cinnamon rolls out of the bread recipe that you all already really like. So here's our dough. I'm not going to go over how to make the bread dough, because there is a video, and we will link it in the description below. There's a video on how to make the bread. So when we get, after the bread has risen for its first time, then we're going to, instead of making a loaf of bread, we're going to make cinnamon rolls. So you see, we have our bread dough that is risen. We have brown sugar, cinnamon, pecans, and melted butter, and our handy dandy rolling pin. Now, if you don't like pecans, you don't have to put pecans. If you want to put raisins, you can put raisins. So, you know, it's just a matter of what you like. But this is our favorite way to do it, and so this is how we're showing you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to flour the countertop, because we're going to roll this dough out, not all at once. Now, we don't even have to make this whole dough into cinnamon rolls. If you wanted to make, split it in half and make half of it a loaf of bread and half of it cinnamon rolls, you could do that, because this will make, you know, quite a number of cinnamon rolls. So anyway, so we've got our, I'm just going to do this to kind of get some flour on our rolling pin. Alrighty, and now we're going to punch down our dough. Okay, I'm going to cut it in half roughly. This isn't rocket science, so we're just going to take about half of it. Alright, let me move this out of the way. Handy dandy magic hands there, moving it out of the way. Alright, so we're going to put it here. We're going to start rolling it out. Get my hair out of the way. We don't want to eat hair, although my family eats hair quite often because it gets in everything. But they're used to it. And if the food's good, they don't care anyway. So they just go, "Oh, Mom." So we're going to roll it out. This dough is pretty elastic. Worked out pretty good. Like I say, go watch the video on how to make bread. It's a quick, easy recipe. It's one of the easiest bread recipes that I've ever run across. It's what when we teach bread classes, live bread classes, we do. That's the recipe we use because it's so easy, and it's almost, you know, you about can't mess it up. Getting a little near the edge here. Now this, you know, ideally this could be a rectangle, but again, it's not rocket science, and I'm not a purist about anything. I told you that before. You know, we just probably ought to get a spoon. Thank you, Abby. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sprinkle some butter. Listen, you know everything is better with butter, don't you? And we're going to just spread that out.
There's plenty of little handy dandy tools to make the butter spread, like a basting brush or whatever, but you usually just can't beat using your hands.
Yeah. So, alright, so now the next thing we add is brown sugar. Now, nobody ever pretended that this was health food, okay guys? So don't even go there. You know, you might even get diabetes from watching the video, who knows. But anyway, but there's only a little bit of sugar in the actual dough, just a couple of tablespoons in a 2-loaf dough, so that's not too bad. You know, and then you can put as much or as little of this as you like. But, I mean, these are cinnamon rolls. They're not supposed to be health food, you know?
And some cinnamon rolls use white sugar instead of brown sugar. We just like brown sugar.
Yes.
Give me.
Alright. So there we go with that. Now we're going to sprinkle some cinnamon. I mean, they are cinnamon rolls, so we need cinnamon all over. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of cinnamon, but on this, you know, you kind of got to do that. Let's see. Get to the edge just a little bit more. Alright, now what we're going to do is going to get some flour on our hands.
Pecans.
Oh, pecans, yes, thank you, Ashley. I forgot the pecans. Ooh, that would have been terrible because pecans are our favorite. Now, if you would rather have walnuts or whatever, but we just love pecans. So, pecans is what we use. And if you don't want nuts at all, you certainly don't have to put nuts. I mean, that is not a requirement for this recipe. This is just because we like it. Okay. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll it up. Just going to roll and roll. Kind of tighten it as you go. Kind of pull on it just a little. You don't want to pull it apart. But the dough is pretty forgiving. It's, you know, it's pretty elastic and pretty forgiving. And if it looks like you may have a spot that's going to stick a little bit, just throw some flour under there. All right. Now, so there you are. Now you have a giant roll. And what we're going to do from here is get our pans. We're going to pause just a minute and get our pans and get them ready to cut this and put it on the pans. Okay, so we've got our pan now. This is just a deep cookie sheet. And what we're going to do, you know, more butter's more better. So we're going to put the melted butter on the cookie sheet. Again, your hands are an excellent tool, y'all. I know that there's all kind of gadgets out there. But listen, your hands are an excellent tool. All right. So, and a little butter on that as I handle it won't hurt nothing either. So now all you need is a knife, a fairly sharp knife, to cut it. Now I'll tell you that the ends never are really pretty cinnamon rolls. So I usually start cutting further in from the ends, and then I kind of fill in whatever I have, maybe even another pan if this pan is filled with what's here. So I'm going to kind of cut the end off and set it aside, and then I'm going to start cutting the cinnamon rolls. Maybe I should cut from this end so you could see better. Would that be good, Ashley?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now resist the urge to squeeze this, okay? My knife could be a little sharper. My husband sharpened it the other day, but I've used it quite a bit on something that made it not so sharp anymore. So here's our little baby cinnamon roll. And we're going to just put it right over here in our pan. A ½ inch or so thick, maybe even up to an inch, depends on what you want. And so we're just going to continue cutting our cinnamon rolls and putting them on the sheet. Usually do about 4 in the line, because they're going to rise. We're going to let them rise before we actually bake them. So they're going to rise for about 20 minutes or so. Yeah. My dough's a little soft. Could have been a little stiffer, but that's okay.
Sometimes it makes it easier if you let the dough sit in the refrigerator after.
It does, yes.
What is it? It's after it rises, and then you put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that way it's easier to cut. Just easier to cut. But you don't have to. It's just, you know. And like I said, it's really not hard. If you have mastered that bread dough recipe, you can do this. This is just very, very easy. Not a problem whatsoever. So, we're still working on it. Still got our little cinnamon rolls. Now, if I'd had a bigger chunk of dough, if I'd pulled out a bigger chunk of dough, I would have bigger, fatter cinnamon rolls. So it just depends on what you want. But with all that sugar, you don't necessarily need bigger, fatter cinnamon rolls. And again, these will be bigger when they come out of the oven. They'll be bigger. And the last one's always hard because it's... Alrighty. We'll get our little ends here cut. And we'll just let those stay in there like that. Not much to them. That's why I cut the pretty stuff first. So here you go. Here's our tray of cinnamon rolls. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cover them and we're going to let them rise, for about 20 minutes. Okay? And we'll be back when that is done. Okay, while our cinnamon rolls are baking, we're going to make a glaze icing for it. This is just a very simple glaze icing. You can make it much more complicated. You can change flavors a little bit. This is vanilla. We're using vanilla. You can make it maple or whatever you like. But this is just a basic recipe. We're using 2 cups of powdered sugar. And we're using 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We're using 4 tablespoons of milk, which is equal to 1/4 cup. And we're using 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And like I said, if you would like maple or any other orange or whatever flavor you like, you can do that. And so all we're doing is just mixing it till it's all incorporated and smooth. And then when the get every drop we can, you know. Vanilla's yummy, plus it's expensive, so we get it all out of there. And so just smooth it, just with a whisk. It's not hard. You don't have to cook it. See? Not a problem at all. Now I will tell you that I did sift the powdered sugar because it was a little lumpy, and so I didn't want to have to fight lumps in this, so I did sift it. But if your powdered sugar isn't lumpy, then I live in Florida, Northwest Florida, and it's very humid here, so my powdered sugar was a little bit lumpy. So we'll come back when we take the cinnamon rolls out of the oven for you to see them, and we'll put the icing over it. Okay guys, we've got them out of the oven. They've cooled off just a little bit, and I will give you a hint. Before they get too cool, you need to go ahead and loosen them up. Do the spatula under them, because all that sugar wants to stick to your pan so that you don't have a disaster. That's just a tip for you. So what we're going to do now is take our icing that we made in just 2 or 3 minutes. It didn't take any time. And we're going to just drizzle it over our cinnamon rolls. Again, you can, this is vanilla, you can do maple, you could do orange, you could do coffee. You know, you could do just whatever flavor you like to add to it. They may still be a little bit warm for this, but we wanted to go ahead and get this done for you guys. Now, a lot of times I make the actual cinnamon rolls bigger than this because I have a bigger I start out with more dough. But these are fine. I mean, you don't you know, you don't need them necessarily that big around, which I have done before. But these are fine. And they're going to be yummy. Abby's in there eating lunch, and I think maybe she wants more. All right. All right. I'm even going to put some on our dough back here that doesn't have much in it. That was just our ends. Just remember, you know, that the ends, don't throw them away. Cook them and eat, you know, eat them. Even if they're not. Then I just go back over them with what's left. And you see it comes all down in the pan. That's okay. You can, as you take them up, when they cool a little more, you can get that a spatula or a knife and just scrape that up and put it on top of them too. Alrighty, so we're done with our cinnamon rolls. Aren't they pretty? And I can tell you they're yummy. And we even, with the rest of our dough, made a loaf of bread because we didn't need any more cinnamon rolls than this. We've got blackberries from our garden that we want to make blackberry cobbler with, so we didn't need any more cinnamon rolls than this. But we just wanted to show you how to do it. It's really easy. Get that bread recipe. Like I say, Ashley will link it in the description. Go watch that to get your dough ready. And then what I did today was quick and easy and not hard at all. And if you want like 2 pans like this, do all of the dough in cinnamon rolls. Otherwise, make you a loaf of bread and some cinnamon rolls. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you today. Please remember to like and subscribe and share our channel. And also don't forget to check us out on Facebook. We are Pemberley Farm. And we are also on Instagram as Pemberley Farm. So join us if you will. And thank you very much for watching today. And I hope you have a very blessed day from Pemberley Farm.